Hey kids, so this is by request a flip through of the Angel Tarot, which I talked a little bit about in my April favorites. And in no particular order, I will be showing you these cards. So there's the Lululemon Devil, Hermit. You'll notice that not only is the coloring um, kind of this really interesting palette of kind of a salmon, like a burnt orange, and this kind of, I don't even know what to call this brown. Quite like it, but this kind of brown, green, yellow, gold, pink. But the names, the titles, correspond to Rider-Waite-Smith, so pentacles, swords, and yet you have in the corners of the minor arcana, it's one of my favorite cards in the deck. I love that green. You have in the corners, you have the French suits, so hearts with the cups, featured on all of the cups, and then spades with the swords. And the swords, of course, although this is a Marseille-type deck, so different from the way the Marseille tarot shows us the kind of curved scimitar-looking swords. These swords are all have elaborate hilts and then straight points. The pentacles, diamonds. The wands are also sort of don't necessarily, they certainly don't look like the polo stick kind of wands that we see in a traditional Marseille deck. They relate to clubs. And yet, in the major arcana, we certainly see imagery that looks a whole lot like the Convert Tarot de Marseille. And then the arabesque, the sort of flower flourishes, also look a lot like what we expect in the Tarot de Marseille, although, you know, the patterning of the minor suits doesn't necessarily map on to what we expect to see, like the way this Six of Pentacles is structured. But a lot of things that are similar in the courts. I think this tower is really interesting, like, you know, the flame is, you know, really the way it looks like a flower. And it's not clear whether, it doesn't look like it's coming out of the tower. It doesn't necessarily look like it's going into the tower. It's not quite clear. You know, this Ten of Swords doesn't look like any other Ten of Swords I've ever seen. I love this Death, that blue. You know, the aces don't necessarily look like what we expect. Another one of my favorites in this deck. So, you know, I haven't read up on the history. I quite like the Magician. I'll just go back to that. I haven't read up on the history of this deck. I like the Queen of Wands too. So I don't really know how the decisions got made about the suit elements and their organization on the page. I mean, that Nine of Wands is just different. The Five. And then, you know, the clubs in that blue. The blue for the clubs and the spades, the pink for the hearts. guess it's more of an orange, not really pink. It's just a really, the color palette is just so kind of unusual. So, you know, I looked at this deck online for a long time before I committed to buying it. And, I mean, I love it. Look at that Cupid. I mean, the Cupid is sort of like in this completely other register from the man and the two women. It's just, it's such an odd mixture. And this, you know, that green and pink, I mean, I think some of the cards, you see the choices of the color palette, and it really works. And then others, like the sort of blue of the, if you can quite see it, the light's kind of mixed here. But you know, the background of some of the cards blue, other cards white. Sort of, you can see the blue-gray. So the quartz and the majors have this white background. Yeah, I'm trying to, the light is really distorting things. No, but maybe all the background's gray actually. I'm just having a hard time seeing it reflected. There you have it. And then the backs are sort of familiar, that kind of plaid back. Yeah, I guess all of the, I guess they all, it's just not showing up in the, all of the cards have a kind of gray, a gray internal, now my eyes are not working, like a gray internal, it's hard to see. Okay, Angel Tarot.